Silver Armored Spider-Man. So let me tell you, when I was a kid, Silver Armored Spider-Man was my boy. I did a whole video talking about all my Silver Armored Spider-Man toys, if you want to check that out. So, obviously, when this thing got announced and revealed, I was very excited. I was very excited, but I had one problem with it, and if you looked carefully at the thumbnail, you'll probably have already seen I rectified that. So, this figure's awesome. I actually got two of this because I wanted to keep one in the box. I mean, I had the larger scale version of this figure. I'm only showing the smaller one for simplicity's sake. And this thing was one of my favorite toys as a kid. I loved the chunkiness, I loved the silveriness, and while this isn't an exact match to it, I wish it was, but it's not an exact match, it's pretty darn close for me, especially after my little tweak. But yeah, man, I've always loved Silver Armor Spidey, the big old silver Spidey logo on the back, which we'll talk about this one. The awesome, just, oh, dude, look at it. This is probably my favorite Spider-Man costume outside of just the classic costume. This is one of my favorites by far. So, obviously, had to get this. I'm very happy I got two, because I love this card back, too. He definitely looks way more bulked up and armored on this package here. And yes, his technical name is Spider Armor Mark 1. I've always called him Silver Armored Spider-Man ever since I was like a toddler, so it's kind of ingrained in me. But yeah, this is a super awesome retro card. I think I actually did get a couple figures back in the day on this card, so it's actually really nice to have a copy of this in my collection. None of the other figures I was really interested in, I just wanted this. But yeah, you can see it's got a little read up there. It's got the same picture. It's pretty cool. I'm actually really happy to have this carded. So you may be wondering, if you didn't look carefully at the thumbnail, what did you do to it? So, you may have noticed, this Spidey right here has silver eyes. This one, the color is basically inverted. It's black eyes with silver outline. And I mean, yeah, it's neat. But I think this is actually kind of based off of the armor's appearance in the PS4 Spider-Man game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why that design change was a thing, but personally, I really need those eyes silver. And a little bit of silver and black Sharpie later, and my life is even more fulfilled than it was before I did that. You don't have to do this, obviously. It actually looks really cool right out of the package. But for me, Silver Armored Spider-Man just needs the silver eyes and the black trim. And with some careful Sharpie work, I think it actually looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but, I mean, look at that. That's, you know, that's pretty good for me. So yeah, this guy is absolutely awesome. The paint is amazing. The silver is very nice and shiny. The black is very nice too. I love all the texturing to the costume. Like I said, it is an upgrade of the costume. It's not as big and beefy as I probably would have liked it to be, but it is supposed to be like normal slender Peter Parker in an armored Spider-Man suit. I do believe there are some versions of the story where it's like an alternate version of Spider-Man, but I know also Peter Parker from classic Marvel, probably 616 or something at some point wore this. So yeah, it's nice. It's nice. It just makes me so happy. So what does he come with? You can already see in the box, he's got some flippy hands. He's got some webbies, and I have them out of the box as well. So yeah, I really like the flippies. He's got some nice paint on the knuckles there. And I like the little texturing, the little ribbing of the fingers. So he's got those. And I'll probably, because it's very similar to my childhood figure, I'll probably end up giving him one Thwippy in his right hand. Because, I mean, this is basically the same thing but smaller. You can see how he was. So, I think it's pretty neat. I can even have it out too if I want to be super authentic, but nah. Also, it has these webbies. This is actually some of my first web effects I've ever had in Marvel Legends because I'm not a super big Spider-Man collector. So, these things, you know, they're interesting. It's kind of a simulation of like, bleh. That's what it's supposed to be. Or, bleh. That's what it is. They're neat. I'm sure you can kind of tangle them onto figures as you would want. You know, they're very flexible. Like, you can probably get this piece under his arm, and then another piece right there. I'm sure if you work with it enough. Yeah, like, there we go. It's on him. It's pretty neat. I dig those, but obviously not really the star of the show for me. The star of the show is the nice, shiny silver Spider-Man right in front of me. So the sculpt, like I said, is amazing. I love the look of it. I personally like it a lot more with the eye change, but that's just me. Mentioned the spider logo on the back there, how much I always liked that as a kid. And this one, while it's different, ooh, look at that. It's almost like it's chrome. It's almost like a different silver. I think it's the same, but something about the sheen of it, it actually looks chrome. That is amazing looking. I don't know why it looks so chrome, but I am not going to complain. It looks amazing. Spider logo too is also, I mean, it's a little different from what I'm used to. I remember that big old square where the spider logo goes. It's definitely different here, but I don't mind it. I mean, yeah, the design's pretty faithful, I'd say. It's definitely a nice upgrade of the classic design, but definitely not an exact translation. I feel like the crotch plate too, just that little triangle on the crotch is a little more chrome. You can see I wish it kept the knees. Always loved the classic knee armor. I wish it would have kept that. But still, you know, it's Spidey. It's Spidey. What do you expect? So, for articulation, it's actually pretty good. So the head moves up pretty decently, moves down. You get some tilty tilt. Shoulders move out pretty good. No butterfly joint, unfortunately, but I mean, he's armored. I can forgive it. They move. They do that as well. And also, his elbows do the elbow thing. Isn't that great? Isn't that awesome? They do the elbow thing. But guess what? They do it with no pins. So that's pretty good. His wrists do that thing. You know, that's what the wrists do. And then that wrist does that as well. So that's good. And then that part does this. But one interesting thing about this piece, if you see, it crunches and then there's like a little bit of armor. If you move it just a little bit, boop, kind of like fully covers that little bit right there, so that when that does that thing, it's actually pretty nice. And then you can rotate the waist. You can do that if you want, but why would you want to do that? He does that, which is actually pretty good for a Spider-Man. So that's nice. It's always funny whenever people go over articulation, they always have to point out the body part. But it's like, dude, I could literally just be talking about whatever and showing you this range, and you can understand exactly what this Spider-Man is capable of. You don't need me to specify. You can just see what I'm doing. So, I mean, you can see it's pretty posable. He's standing, you know, that's pretty nice. One thing I do love is the range on the knees. He's got a lot of knee range. And with all this posability, I wish his head had a little bit more range because it's on a dumbbell joint. It's not on a classic disc hinge, so I feel like it is a little limited, but also it actually helps a little bit. So, you know, you can get him in some pretty classic Spidey poses, you know. It's pretty nice. I do wish it was a little more bulky, like I said. I mean, it's not my perfect Spider-Man. Basically, the perfect Spider-Man for me would be this thing, but articulated. But that's not going to happen. Ooh, what if Hot Toys does this? Ooh, it would be this armor. It would be this exact version. Man, I don't know if I could say no to Hot Toys. It would have the black eyes, though, so I gotta think. So yeah, there we go. There's not too much else to say. There is Silver Armored Spider-Man. My classic child. You know, he's my boy. Something about Silver Spidey. He's just one of those niches where it's like, I feel like I'm one of the only people that really, really, really loves the Spider-Man armor. I'm sure there's love for it out there. I'm sure tons of people are excited to get this. But man, this is one I've been asking for so long. As someone who's a casual Marvel Legends fan, this is one of those where I'm like, man, I'm keeping an eye on these because they need to do this. And as soon as they went up for pre-order, I'm like, you know what? Give me 2 of them. Just give me 2 of them. Just give me 2 of them, man. Very happy about this. I'm, of course, going to keep my 6-inch scale one. The one that was in like the Spider-Man Classics line, because it's still a Silver Armored Spider-Man, but obviously this one's going to take center stage next to my McFarlane Spider-Man and my Pizza Spidey mold symbiote suit Spider-Man as some of my favorites. It's kind of funny though, there's always this culture of upgrading Spider-Man figures. Like there's the new Spider-Man back here, the new symbiote one, but I'm pretty sure that mold has pins. And see, as soon as they make a pinless version of this, or normal Spider-Man, that's going to be the new definitive. So, yeah, good old Hasbro. It's kind of their business model, though. That's like they make a new one, but they don't make it perfect enough. So you always have a reason to get the next one after that. That's kind of their model. Alrighty guys, there we go. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Special shout out to the patrons of Patreon. Thank you all so much for the continued support. Alrighty guys, have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.